T-Mac brings it to Albany Saratoga. The Jet lands another one on the high banks. We go in the pits with a multi-time Pro Stock champion. Rodney Rescott, come on down. It's Race Pro Week. Hello and welcome to a brand new edition of Race Pro Weekly. I'm your host, Mike Warren. Tuesday night at the Albany Saratoga Speedway, it was $7,500 on the line. We head there now on our opening highlight, brought to you by Landhill Maintenance. Batman Peter Britton looking to defend his 2017 title, as it would be Timmy McCready and Brian Gleason leading the field of the green in the 44-lap opener with $7,500 on the line. McCready with the early lead with a three-wide battle for second as Gleason, Rodney Johnson, and Stuart Friesen do battle. Then Britton, as we mentioned before, going to battle with the 20 of Brett Hearn off at turn number 2. Stuart Friesen on the move in the early going as he'd fight for the number 2 spot with the 2RJ of Rodney Johnson. And you know when there's big money on the line, here comes the 9S of Matt Shepard working his way to the inside in the top 5 early. Going in the inside of Stuart Friesen for third down the backstretch and working on Rodney Johnson as the caution comes out for Bobby Varon. Off the restart, it would be the 9S of Shepard taking control, trying to get to the inside of T-Mac. He would take the position away as the 9S was looking to take home some big money here this past Tuesday night. Meanwhile, as this happens, Matty D trying to fight in the top 5 along with Peter Britton as well. Kenny Tremont might have been the fastest car in the second half of the race as he started deep in the field and worked his way up into the top 5. Now Timmy McCready trying to make a move on the outside lane to get by Matt Shepard. Didn't work that time down the backstretch, but here he goes again trying to make the move off at turn number 2, and he makes it stick that time, putting the Sweeteners plus 39 to the front for good as he picks up the win in the Bring It feature event. Shepard would have to settle for a close second. Stuart Friesen would come home third. Kenny Tremont in fourth, and the 2RJ of Ronnie Johnson rounding out your top 5. Switching gears to the high banks of the Valley of Speed, Ronnie Johnson making his return to racing as a regular to the high banks this season, as the wild child Andy Bacchetti would lead the field of the green in the 30-lap opener, the lid lifter, if you will. Cars on the move in the early going of this feature. J.R. Hefner trying to make his way around Mike King for third, but Brett Hearn, of course, making it look easy early, going to the number 2 spot, getting by Eddie Marshall down the backstretch. Meanwhile, Mike King gets jumbled up a little bit as he loses a couple of positions to Ronnie Johnson, as Bacchetti trying to hold off Hearn as Hearn was on the move, going from outside to inside through the east end. Keith Flack would have some trouble as he would have a loss of power on the 43 machine, and as that happens, the field going to race down the back straightaway as a split with Shelton and King trying to get by Steve Huff, and then Huff gets into the 42 of Sheldon under caution, collecting the X-Car of Wayne Jelly as well with that beautiful new paint scheme. But meanwhile, off of that restart, it would be the 20 of Brett Hearn trying to slide to the inside to get by Bacchetti. He would do it. Kenny Tremont going to look to follow. He would take the number 2 spot away, coming down the front straightaway as RJ still battling with the 74 of J.R. Hefner trying to get into the top 5. Robbie Pitcher trying to work his way up through the field as well. And we mentioned Wayne Jelly with that car looking like Butch Jelly's old car around the speedway. But out in front, Brett Hearn landing one again on opening night on the high banks of the Valley of Speed. Tremont would have to settle for the number 2 spot. Andy Bacchetti would finish in third, Eddie Marshall fourth, and J.R. Hefner would come home fifth. It's now time for our John Ray and Sons fan poll question, which is, what was your impression of the Bring It event at Albany Saratoga Speedway on Tuesday night? To cast your answer, head to facebook.com/RaceProWeekly. Coming up, we see what's going on for opening night out at the Track of Champions, and we'll come back to the high banks with a little bit of sportsman action. Keep it locked right here on Race Pro Weekly.
You know, Mother Nature makes the best products, and Ghent Wood Products in Columbia County has figured out the secret. We use locally harvested trees, milled and kiln-dried right on site in Ghent. We stock rough-cut lumber, green or kiln-dried. If you prefer finished products, we offer that too, including shiplap, flooring, paneling, exterior siding, and tabletops. Come check out the reclaimed mushroom wood and barnwood siding. We combine the mill experience with a retail store, so you can go straight to the mill and handpick the wood you want.
Reputable. Reliable. Results. That's what you get when you call Rick and the professionals at RCT Roofing. Quality service at fair prices. RCT gets the job done. Just like Nick Stone and the RCT Pro Stock. RCT Roofing, we've got you covered. There's only one place in the Capital Region for you to get the full racing action. Stop down at the Bobco video booth at the track or call 518-399-0937. Bobco Racing Video, the next best thing to being there. Welcome back to Race Pro Weekly. Pete Demitrazik was also putting up a little bit of extra cash for the Bonafines on their opening night this past Saturday. Let's take a look and see who would bring it home. We start off with some street stock action at the Speedway as the Hammer, Cliff Haslam, going to take the checkered flag, and his son Danny there to greet him in Victory Lane, or Checkerboard Squared, if you will, to do the interview. To the Bonafines now, Stuart Friesen and Josh Owenforth going to lead the field to the green as they work their way up through turn number 1 and 2. Four-wide battle on the backstretch as a number of cars trying to fight for position in the early going of this feature event. Rocky Warner in his first modified race to start this season off as a full-time modified campaigner. Meanwhile, the 93 of Danny Varon trying to work past Mike Mahaney. He does. The caution would come out for the 73 of Cody Blue up in turn number 2. Off the restart, Josh Owenforth trying to get a leg up on the 44 of Stuart Friesen as they go up into turn number 1. You knew that wasn't going to last long. Friesen gets that lead back, and here's Danny Varon on the outside to take that number 2 spot away. Field trying to work up through as here comes the 19 of Tim Fuller on the move on the outside lane, trying to pick up a couple of positions as the cars would battle to work their way up here as we move toward the closing stages of this feature event. Working off at turn number 3 and 4 as Owenforth would give up another position as the Doctor was on the move trying to work his way into some extra cash at the Fonda Speedway. And then the spirited father-son battle. Here's Bobby Varon and Danny Varon battling for position off of 4 with Danny having the spot. Owenforth and Rocky Warner still going at it in the top 5. As here's a little trouble for race leader Stuart Friesen as Kenny Sparks kind of just gets in the way coming down the front stretch. Meanwhile, Owenforth's going to sneak by Mike Mahaney going down off at turn number 2. As this happens, Stuart Friesen doing it like he usually does at Fonda, picking up the victory, his third opening night win at the Track of Champions. Danny Varon would finish in second, Bobby Varon coming home third, Danny Johnson fourth, and the Apollo Rocket Josh Owenforth would round out the top 5. Back to the high banks we go now. Some Pro Stock action as Rob Yetman wins his 100th career Pro Stock feature event, leading wire to wire. To the Sportsman now, Tom Buchwald going to lead the field to the green, and he'd have a rough go in the start of this one as he would spin in turn number 2. Cars looking to scatter down the backstretch. You'll see Peter Carlotto coming out of nowhere to avoid Cody Oakes. Down the back straightaway, Chris Curtis would assume command off the restart, but Chris Lynch would have a little bit of trouble as you see him come off by turn number 2. He'd have severe right rear damage after he gets into the berm off the corner, and that would sideline him for a little bit as he comes down the front straightaway when have to pull in. Meanwhile, here's Whitey Slavin going to the inside of Kevin Ward for position up into turn number 3 and 4 as Slavin would take that spot away. A battle between two veterans, Alan Hoteling getting by the 96 of Rob Maxson up off at turn number 2 as Slavin continuing to try to push his way toward Chris Curtis. Adam Gage looking to crack the top 5 as well. Here's Peter Carlotto working to the inside of Todd Buchwald down through turn number 3 and 4 for position. Michael Sabia also trying to work his way up through as he would come off by turn number 2 for the spot as the caution will come out for the 114 of Scott Flanders. Off the restart, something breaks in the 7 of Sabia's car, sending him scattering down the front straightaway. A number of cars trying to avoid him. A tough break for the 7 machine, who had a fast run going in that Sportsman car. You see Hoteling, who had a great run going as well, having to pull away. Meanwhile, off the restart, here's Kevin Ward trying to dial back in to get by the 53 of Whitey Slavin. But as that happens, Carlotto looking to run him down up into turn number 1 and 2 for the closing laps. But they wouldn't be catching Chris Curtis as he would pick up the win on opening night for the Sportsman division. Second would be Slavin, third Kevin Ward, fourth Peter Carlotto, and Adam Gage would round out the top 5. Rob Yetman, as we mentioned earlier, would pick up the win in the Pro Stocks. Johnny Devine would win Pure Stock number 1. Chad Arsenal, Pure Stock number 2. And Gary O'Brien would win Pure Stock number 3. Coming up, we'll take a look at some full fendered action as we head back to the great race place. And then it's back to the Track of Champions to see who would take the Sportsman opening night feature out at Fonda. You're watching Race Pro Weekly.
Non-stop action, fierce battles, out-of-your-seat excitement. It's 800 horsepower of ground-shaking racing. The Super Dirt Car Series Big Block Modifieds are coming. Be there to witness the mighty Big Blocks. The High Bank Hold-Up Weekend at Fulton Speedway is nearing. Friday, April 27th and Saturday, April 28th. Come watch as the Dirt Car Sportsman Division opens their season on Friday, and the Super Dirt Car Series opens on Saturday. Kids just $5 each day. Info at FultonSpeedway.com.
You don't need sunlight or wide open spaces. You don't need four wheels. Actually, you don't need any wheels. You don't need a lot of time. You don't even need gravity. All you need is an engine and Sunoco fuel.
I'm Brian from 1-800-GOT-JUNK. This is my main man, Tom, and my other main man, Tom.
You never know how much junk you've got until you move.
Point to something you wish would disappear.
Would it be possible to... It's gone!
All you have to do is point.
Where have you been all my life?
We make junk disappear. All you have to do is point.
Welcome back to Race Pro Weekly. Last season, Kenny Martin picked up the championship in the Pro Stock division. We'll see what opening night had in store at the Great Race Place once again. Start off with some sportsman action. Joey Scarborough trying to go way up top on the outside and ends up spinning it out just over the banking in turn number 3. Meanwhile, Cleveland rocks. There's our second Drew Carey reference of the afternoon. As Cleveland wins the sportsman feature event, but to the Pro Stocks now, Brandon Amy going to take the early race lead in this feature event in his full fendered field. Working its way down into turn number 3 and 4 as Josh Coonrad would try to battle Jay Corbin for second. Then you have Kim Dool working his way up on the outside as the Curtis Lumberwagon was on the move. As I mentioned before, defending champion Kenny Martin working to the inside of Corbin in spots 2 through 4 right together as Dool now still trying to push on the outside lane. Keep an eye on that 2H of Cousin Luke, though, as Luke Horning trying to push his way up through the field, but his battle for second. Meanwhile, at the front, still going strong as Corbin would battle with Coonrad. But here comes Cousin Luke pushing right behind them. He'd get by Kenny Martin down into turn number 3 and 4. Martin gets a little out of shape through turn number 4. He'd lose a number of positions, but gather it back up. Meanwhile, Horning would make the move up off of turn number 2 to take that number 2 spot away as he would push down the backstretch. Meanwhile, Brandon Gray going to go around in turn number 2. And off the restart, it would be Brandon Amy taking advantage of that number 1 spot once again as he go down into turn number 3 and 4. Cousin Luke would push up the racetrack a little bit. That allows Jay Corbin to slide into that number 2 spot. Then Cousin Luke and Dan Older come together, and here's Kim Dool going to look to take advantage on the outside lane for third. But they weren't catching Brandon Amy tonight as he would pick up the win in the opening round for the Pro Stock division. Corbin would swing home for second. Kim Dool would finish in third. Luke Horning fourth, and Dan Older would round out the top 5. Other winners on the night would be Connor Cleveland picking up the win in the Sportsman, and in the Limited Sportsman, it would be Michael Wagner Fitzgerald. Ray Zemkin would lead the field of 30 sportsmen to the green flag at the Track of Champions as Zemkin would lead them up into turn number 1 and 2. Cars on the move behind him in the early going, trying to find some positions as they work their way down into turn number 3 and 4. A couple of cars get tangled together. That includes the 7 of Dave Constantino. As they head down the back straightaway, a number of cars would get by him, and off the restart, a lot of the top guns here in the Sportsman division trying to work their way through the field as they work their way down the back stretch. Coming down the front straightaway now, you see Chad Edwards and Cody Clark battling for position. That's just outside the top 5. Then you got the 27 of Nick Stone trying to work his way down as he debuted in the Sportsman division this past weekend. Mark Mortensen trying to get by Cody Clark, allowing Dave Manchester to work up on the inside lane. And as this is happening, Nick Scavia really starting to push his way through the field, trying to move up into that number 2 spot to chase home that number 1 machine. Meanwhile, here's Stone going around. Brian Pessolano up through turn number 3 and 4. And as I mentioned before, Scavia was on the move. He would try to catch that number 1 machine and close the gap very quickly now with just about 3 laps to go in this one. Semkin would take the lead through turn number 1 and 2 as Scavia would try to make the sweep pass. He'd eventually get him through turn number 3 and 4 as Scavia, your new race leader, with just a couple to go. Brian Bour's looking to cling to a top 5 feature event finish here in the Sportsman feature event. That's as high as he would go, as Nick Scavia would pick up the win on opening night at the Track of Champions. Zemkin would finish in second, Robert Bublak third, Chad Edwards would hold on for fourth, and Borst would round out the top 5 other winners on the night. Kenny Gates would pick up the win in the Pro Stocks. Cliff Haslam, as you saw earlier in the Street Stocks, and Derek McGrew Jr. grabs the win in the Limited Sportsman. When we come back, we'll take a look in the pits with one of the top guns at the Fonda Pro Stocks. Performance, quality, service. That's DMC Racing Products. Hundreds of name brand parts, competitive prices. That's DMC. DMC Racing Products. Race to win.
Hi everyone, it's Charlie Morris here at Morris Ford in Burnt Hills. It's hard to believe that 2018 is here. That marks our 46th year at doing business. Time flies and many things have changed, but one thing that has never changed is how we take care of our customers here at Morris Ford. My father once told me that customers come first. That remains the same today. So come into Morris Ford for the hottest selling vehicles on the market and let us make you a part of the Morris Ford family.
Our Douglas Terriers will always be number one.
Welcome back to Race Pro Weekly, and before the season got started, it was the second annual Kingfish Car Show. Number of drivers out on hand. You had Chad Jesio out there, the driver of the 25. Brett Wright had his sprint car. Brian Berger in the Phase 360 also out there. And there's the Kingfish himself taking a couple of pictures. Paul Gilardi signing a few autographs out there. Harold Robitaille out there as well. A bunch of drivers. Deegan Nichols, can't forget him in the 77 D Machine. Joe LaFlamme, and as I mentioned, a number of drivers working their way out there. Kenny Tremont also on hand. A great day, and it really got the fans ready to get started for 2018. For years at the Fonda Speedway, Kenny Gates has been a mainstay at the top of the division with 6 track championships. On opening night out at the Track of Champions, Fast Eddie caught up with Gates and what to look forward to his 2018 season.
Kenny, coming off your second consecutive track championship in the Pro Stock division at Fonda Speedway, what's it going to take to get another track championship this year?
You really got to be on your game here. A lot of good competition, and the track's a little changeable, but we've been here enough, so hopefully that won't mess us up too much. But again, it's just always staying on top of your game, always working hard over the winter. I figure the championships are won in the garage, so we've been working hard over the winter to make sure we show up with the very best piece we can to go out there and be competitive.
Tell the fans how many years you've been driving in the Pro Stock division now.
25, I think. I think this is our 25th year.
What makes you keep coming back and running the Pro Stocks?
Well, honestly, it's an incredible amount of fun. The competition's close. You usually see very few runaways in this class. The good competition, and it's affordable. I can afford to be competitive and stay at it and come to the track every week and do what I love to do. There's no way I could do it with modifieds and stuff like that. But with a little help from the sponsors and things like that, I can stay competitive and keep doing it, just keep updating every year and have a great time, be at the track where I love to be.
I ask all these guys that have been doing this for a while, what are some of the changes you've seen? What are some of the changes you've seen in the Pro Stocks over those 25 years?
Well, when we started out, it was the street stocks, and they were still stock cars. And now they're all pretty much, a two-frame chassis that you purchase from somebody, whether it be from Nick Stone or Andy Ryder, Jakers or Manimal Chassis or stuff like that. So it's, you get that now, and that gives you a real good start-up point. You can get everything you need from these guys and come right out and be competitive. When I got started, it was hand-built. It was all homemade stuff, and what you got and what you built and stuff might be pretty bad, compared to now. I think it's a little easier to get started now and be a little more competitive, but it definitely is, taking some of the home ingenuity out of it.
What would you consider a successful 2018 season?
Well, another track championship and winning. You know, I want to win some races. You know, I hope to win 5, 6, 7 races. That would be a good year.
It's now time for this week's NISCA Performer of the Week. And with his win up in the Bring It 44 at the Albany Saratoga Speedway, who else but Tim McCready? McCready is now eligible for our Performer of the Year award given out at the end of the season. That's all for this week's show. For the latest news, results, and photos, check out Race Pro Weekly online at www.raceproweekly.com and be sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram. So for myself, Bobby Chalmers, Fast Eddie, Scott Morlock, Amber Chalmers, and everyone that helps put Race Pro Weekly together, thank you for watching this week's episode, and we'll see you next time.